Hello and welcome everyone and good evening. This is Abhishek and you are watching our very own league tournament, the ODE to Gran Turismo, our running series dedicated to saying goodbye to Gran Turismo Sport before we start with Gran Turismo 7. While we're on here, I also have my co-commentator, the Ancient Pleb, with me. We are just waiting for the racers to get ready, and we'll be starting qualifying very, very soon and bringing you all of the live action. But before we do so, Pleb, talk to us about the race. Talk to us about the race from yesterday and what were your thoughts from it?
Yep, surely. So, welcome everyone again. So, I think we have a very exciting race planned for today, since it's Group A and a lot of good guys are in this. And yesterday's race was actually very surprising, right? Like the strategies, especially if you remember from Zolo, like his strategy, he changed his strategy midway, and it proved. I mean, he could have won it. He could have at least aimed for P2 or P1, but just because of his strategy, he ended up in P3 while he still had the chance. So I think the strategies are going to play a very important role. And if it is just like yesterday's race, today should be even more exciting.
Absolutely. And again, as you mentioned, strategy is very, very important for all of
Yes,
these guys. I'm also looking at our lobby screen. Looks like, all of the drivers are out onto the track.
they are all
So
out.
we will start bringing in the live action from qualifying. I think we'll have a lot to talk about as well. Here we go. So we are looking at Santosh in the BMW M6. Obviously, these guys have just come out. They get 10 minutes to qualify and set a respectable time for them to start on the race. Now, obviously, your qualifying position doesn't always matter too much, right? In endurance
Yep.
races like these, so you get a
And
good start.
also,
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, yeah, I think also like some of the cars are a bit poor at standing starts. So quali does. I mean, if you are in a good car, then yes. Like for example, I think the GTR is okay compared to the Supra. Supra is quite bad though. It bogs down a lot on standing starts. And I think the Porsche is good as well. Even the BMW is decent. So if you're in a good car, I think yes, your quality matters. But otherwise, I think for a standing start, it just depends on what car you're in, and you might get jumped by a lot of them just at the start. So I
Yeah,
think it would be a
absolutely.
good way to like just know your pace, I guess, as you're qualifying.
Absolutely. So, I also want to talk to everyone about the races that we have on today. It's almost the same as last week, except for two people. So, Afraid Racer won't be joining us, and Mehul, who is Pagal Raja Jr., he will not be joining.
Raja.
Yeah, so they won't be joining us due to personal commitments. But we have two new racers who are joining in today's. One of them is Village Racer, who is Rupesh, and the other one is our very own Pratik Penya, back into GT Sport. I think, I don't know, maybe after like 8
It
or 9
has
odd
been,
months, right?
I know it has been quite some time seeing Pratik back on GT. So it's good to see, players who have taken a break from the game come back to take part in the league tournaments. So it'll be quite exciting. I think it would be a good chance for him to get set back into the game and get practiced, and maybe next week or so he'll probably be more comfortable uh, coming back onto GT.
Absolutely. And Pratik hasn't had, technically speaking, Pratik has had no practice for this race. He just
Yeah.
came back from a trip about 5 minutes ago and is jumping straight back in to GT Sport. So that's the level of commitment that I think everybody should have. Aniket says, nice to see Pratik back. Yes, it's wonderful to see him. Aniket also says, go fun anywhere. So, that's his teammate. He's supporting him. Shevin says, may the best man win. Well, we'll have to wait and see because you just never know. The best man has to be the all-rounder here, as Shami is probably preparing to go for a hot lap, if I'm not wrong. No, he just dives into the pits. Manu looks like he might be going in
He
for a
will.
hot lap.
Yes.
So why don't we go on board Manu and let's look at the lines that he takes. Feel free to tell about stuff that you find interesting, Pleb.
Yeah, I think T1 is quite important. Is stay close to the barriers, and I think he does a good job of that. Because a lot of cars, I think especially cars like the GTR, tend to oversteer on the exit of T1. So he's safe with the Lexus. And T2 braking point would be in between 150 and the 100-meter board, and he does that perfectly, and he gets a good exit. The next few corners are kind of a late apex, so you take them a bit wide and you make sure you try to use as much of the track as possible to get a better exit. And even here, this is a quite a risky track. I mean, risky corner, because if you go too wide onto the left, you might end up in the sand pit. So you have to place your car just correctly on the correct line. Otherwise, you can end up messing up that corner a lot. I think the
Absolutely,
next,
and you have to be very, very careful in that corner, especially because you want to drift a little bit wide to get a better exit, but you don't want to, you know, touch the gravel, because that just pulls your car away from the track altogether.
I know. So I think you have to trail brake and make sure you're at the right space, just so that's just enough so that you can take a good exit out of that corner. And approaching these consecutive S turns, it's quite tricky, especially the part where Manu is right now, because certain cars tend to get unbalanced. I think that there's a bit of unevenness on the road over there.
There's a bit of a bump as like
Bump,
just before you enter the bridge, so that can unsettle cars quite literally, and we saw that yesterday. I think a couple of racers fell victim to it. I think Karan fell victim to it as well. Sushi, yes, I remember. Sushi fell victim to that as well. So on the chase cam from Tegiswan, this is a huge straight. Now the exit is very, very important because you need to gain as much speed as you can through this straight. While Tegiswan is doing this, maybe also look at Garvit. So Garvit is right there behind him, and Fun Anywhere is behind Garvit as well. Yeah. So I don't think any of these guys are in the slipstream just yet. I just want to go through the entire field once just to see if somebody's gaining an advantage in the slipstream. But it doesn't look that way.
I don't think anybody is. Yeah.
And Super Vedu is just burning his fuel. I think he just wants to go for it the next lap. Pratik Penya catching up to Super Vedu, he realizes that he's going too slow, so he just exits from there. Village Racer in the Audi R8. This is a very, very interesting choice.
I think even in daily races on GT, not a lot of people use the R8. So it's definitely an interesting choice. We should see what he can do.
Tegiswan takes rounds of the last corner. Now all that's left is the straight up until the finish line. We will try and look for the time. He does a 326.4. Wow, maybe I should bring up the timing board as well, so people can look at that. Okay, so 326.4 from Tegiswan. I think there's some.
Right now is, that is right now P1.
Absolutely, there's a little bit more pace there. I think. I remember these guys. Some of these guys were doing a 24 during practice sessions as well. So Fun Anywhere.
I think now since it's the actual quali, they might feel a bit.
Yeah, those nerves kicking in a little bit. Absolutely.
This happens.
While we're going through the field, let's look at the individual times as well. So Garvit does a 326.719. He's about almost 3/10 away from Tegiswan. Fun Anywhere does a 327.4, up like a second away from him. And Santosh does a 327.8. Dan Lord with a 329.3. I think he'll be disappointed. He will want to go for a better lap on this one. Just goes a little bit wide. Pratik Benya is 12 seconds behind Tegiswan at the 338.7. And these guys, Shami, Shaz,
they are on their hot lap.
Exactly. So these guys are on their hot laps. I think Super Vedu is he has the opportunity. Look, he does a purple,
He's
so
already ahead. Yeah,
he's already a
I think
tenth
even
ahead of
Shaz.
Tegiswan.
I think even Shaz was ahead. So it might be very close between these guys. If they can keep it clean for the rest of the lap.
Absolutely. And Shaz is a monster when it comes to qualifying. He can nail down those perfect laps. I think he has been
I
having a
know.
little bit of bad luck with, the actual race. And I think he might be hoping for his luck to change it a little bit. But on pure pace, there are very few people who can match Shaz on
And
this
he's
game and this car.
very good on the controller as well. So he's one of those guys who has a very good pace on a controller. And I think right now he's on the wheel. I'm not really sure on that, but he did say he was trying to use the wheel and get used to it. But trying to be fast on the
Oh,
controller
he
is
just
quite
grazes
tricky.
the wall a little bit. I don't
Just
think he lost too much speed. We'll just wait for the sector times to come up. But yeah, he's been trying to get on the wheel as much as he can. So okay, so it looks like he's not in purple sectors anymore. How close is he to Santosh? He's not that close. So we'll look at Supervedu now. All right. What are his sector times going to look like? This is obviously the final lap, so it's a do or die situation. There's nothing else that you can improve. But we'll
the
also
last
go
the
ahead.
last sectors are quite tricky because they're all fast corners. So he needs to nail all of them. Otherwise, if he messes up even one, it kind of chains up and it ends up ruining all the other corners as well. So
Absolutely.
it's
So Supervedu gets a blue flag from another driver behind him. Was that Village Racer or somebody else? But
I
we'll
think
keep an eye out on this guy as well, Rupesh. He's very, very quick. And I'm just excited to see what he brings to this league with the R8, because that is a monster to drive and control. So 326.5 by Shami.
I mean that is good. That's a good time.
That's a very, very good time, just a tenth away. So the times have started to come in. Shaz
And
goes
we
on
see
top
Shaz,
with a
the 26.1.
326.1. Wow, and he's taken by Supervedu with a
Supervedu,
325.5.
25.5. That's a very good time.
Tegiswan is done with his lap. So
I think
anybody else?
Duki Atma is the only guy remaining. He is close to the end.
The Village Racer goes third with a 326.1. That's a very, very good
That's a good
time.
showing. Yep. Then see.
Duki Atma is in 12th, so he's rounding out the last. No, he's in the last sector.
He's towards the end. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll just
Let's see what
try and
he's-
stay on board with Duki Atma, see what he comes up with.
And mind you, all these guys were setting really quick times during practice sessions. So they're all.
Wow, our
very
KV
close.
just does a 325.2.
Where did that come from?
Where did that come from?
I didn't think we were keeping our eyes on him. Yeah.
So Duki Atma is almost. He gets third. Wow, what a time from RKV. 2.5 tenths away from Supervedu.
Our KV
Monster
takes
time.
P1. Yep, that's a very quick time. 325. Anything in the 325s is very quick. And if you can manage 324s, then the race is pretty much yours.
Absolutely. So I just think it's about a second between first and fifth. About just a second and a tenth between first and sixth.
Yeah,
So
between first to fifth.
very, very close. I think people who are watching have to appreciate that this is a lap, about 3.25 of a lap, and
Exactly.
to stay within a few tenths within each other, that's a feat in itself. So some of these guys are some of the top sim racers in the country, the cream of the crop. They are here to fight it out. So RKV stamping his name on this track with a 325.2. So RKV has been having some real bad luck in the past few races, but he's looking to make it up. Tegiswan, who has won the last two races, is down into 6th. Supervedu, who's been second in the championship standings, is in second. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what kind of strategy these guys follow. Tegiswan might be looking to just stay behind someone. That Lexus is very,
That would be
very
better
good
for him.
Yeah,
Because, if he can stay behind any of the GTRs, then he can he can make a move towards the end, because I mean the Lexus is not as good as a GTR in a straight line. So if he can save fuel and manage his tires, then I think the race would be in his favor towards the end. So it would be very interesting to see what these guys do right now.
Absolutely. I just cannot wait for the countdown to hit the 10-second mark, and we'll
Yeah.
start to go. I think Danlord is in the Fun Anywhere is in the pits. That's the reason the game is just waiting for somebody to
Yes.
finish. But yeah, Tegiswan, the Lexus is very, very good in terms of fuel and tires, so it'll be interesting to see what he comes up with. So this is your qualifying classification. Pratik Benya towards the end. That is expected. He'll just get better and better as the race progresses. So all of the drivers line out on the starting grid. It's going to be a standing start with a false start check. So you have to keep an eye on that as well. I'm also going to set out a replay marker for this one, because I'm pretty sure there are going to be some interesting tidbits happening in corner number 1. So we're going to focus on RKV. I'm also going to focus on Tegiswan, who's starting on the left-hand side in that Lexus. I think that Lexus will get a better start than the Nissans and the Supras at the front. We have a green light. Everybody
Right.
goes through. Everybody's maintaining position for now, but MB Tegiswan has gotten a very, very good start. He
On the
gets into 5th
Lexus.
position. Yes, he's looking to make a move into the Kiatma,
And
into 4th. He's almost into 3rd, but gets squeezed by Village Racer. They're all moving into turn 1. I do not see any incidents just
Super
yet.
Vedu has taken P1. He has overtaken RKV, and now he's into P1. So that is in his favor right now. So he's made a good move right at the start.
Absolutely. Super Vedu takes first position at the first corner, but I don't think RKV is going to give that up so easily, right? RKV is known.
He's definitely going to put a fight.
He's definitely going to put a fight. Shevin says it's lights out and away we go. I think if we say that, we might just be hit with a copyright infringement from Formula One, but. We'll figure out a catchphrase of our own. Looking at Super Vedu and RKV, so these guys are maintaining position.
Everyone is really close to each other right now. I mean, if you look at the pack, I think everybody is within slipstream range of each other. So
Oh, you know what I just spotted? Pratik Benya briefly in 9th position. So he gained a few positions at the start, or maybe into turn 1. Shaz has lost out
in P11.
again. He's in P11. I don't know what happened.
And someone has spun out. It is Village Racer. He has spun out. Yep.
Wow. Okay. We will try and see.
With the Audi must have given out on one of those corners.
Okay, let's see if our
tricky.
replay cameras caught that by. Oh, we just got the bad end of the deal. So yeah, he spun out. He waited for everybody. Oh, and then he just.
And then
hits the wall. He must be kicking himself right now.
Usually I mean, when you spin out and if you end up in the sand pit, it just takes forever to come back on track, and it's quite frustrating. And he's already 10 seconds behind now.
Exactly. So I think that if he had any hopes of a one-stop, I think that's gone out of the window now. So he has to burn a lot of fuel and catch up to the slipstream from these guys. All right, so let's look at the pack that we have right now. Super Vedu in first position, followed by RKV. And these guys are very close together, 3/10 between them. Tegiswan has moved up into 3rd position. That's interesting. With Dukhi Atma in 4th and Garvit in 5th. So that's another slipstream train that's going on from 3rd, 4th and 5th. Then Santosh, who is about a second away from Garvit, not in the slipstream, and Fun Anywhere is on his heels with Shami looking to make a move as well. So looks like Shami is going down on the inside into that fast corner. This is quite very, very dangerous corner. We saw that yesterday as well with Wildest Monk, and if I remember correctly, it was the new guy.
It was Monk.
I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, but I think those corners are quite risky to make a move, so it's advisable to just stay behind the person and then make a move at a different corner, because there are plenty of corners where you can make safe moves So it's better to just save your overtakes for those corners.
I also want to see if maybe we got something in our replay. So Tegiswan gets a good exit out of that corner. We'll try and see if he makes a move into Dukiatma. Maybe our replay cameras caught that. I'm not really sure. It looks like he's a bit farther away. So maybe he made that move on the bridge. See, because he gets very, very close to him, right? Oh, look at that. Dukiatma gets a very, very bad exit. And that's what we were talking about, right? This...
Yeah, that corner is... You have to be careful with your throttle inputs.
Oh, okay. Looks like Tegiswan has lost out a bit of time. So Gareth now moves into third position. I'm not really sure what happened there. But Tegiswan gets a bad exit out of that corner, gets pushed slightly by Gareth.
He did have a good exit out of T1, so he was able to make a move towards the end of the straight. I think now Gareth always usually, he makes a lot of moves towards the beginning of the race. I have noticed this. I think even in our other tournaments, he would start off at P5, P6 or somewhere around there, and then just within one lap, he'll be there at the top. So he always...
There are some of them, right? Remember Pagal Raja, he has a knack for being at the right place at the right time. While we talk about Pagal Raja, RKV has made a move into P1. And Super Vedu is now following him. We saw this yesterday, right? I think Super Vedu will be more than happy to stay behind RKV, save some fuel, and then jump him at the end, which is exactly what the Wildest Monk did yesterday to Crispy Bacon or Dwayne. So Gareth Loda has now a 1 second advantage over Tegiswan. It depends what kind of strategy he's going for, but that Porsche is not really a monster at the straight, so he's better off, staying in the slipstream of somebody else. But
and he's alone as well, so he doesn't have a lot of chance to save fuel. But looking at his fuel gauge, he does look pretty much the same as...
Look at this squabble for 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and I think not 8th, but maybe 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th. These guys are going 3 wide into the corner.
This is not safe, and
Santosh is the one. Almost comes out on top, but look at that, Dukiatma on the inside of that corner. Now he goes on to the outside. He doesn't have an opportunity to make an overtake, but Dukiatma was looking set there to take a 4th position, but Santosh keeps his place. We will try and look back onto that. We'll just wait and see what these guys are going to do.
Could have gone in many ways.
Yeah,
they were all so close to pushing each other out.
Absolutely. Imagine going 3 wide or 4 wide in a daily race. Nobody's coming out of that corner well.
I know, yeah.
But that's the beauty of league racing, right? Everybody knows how the other person is. So let's look at that move. Look at that. Shami tries to go on the inside. I'll just go on board Santosh. Look at Shami trying to go on the inside. He's trying to squeeze Santosh as much as he can. Santosh goes a little bit too deep, but I think that works for him at the end because the other guys...
exactly worked out. Yeah. I think he drifted a bit and that kind of... Good. Oh, and we have an incident. It looks like Shami did collect with Santosh and he went into the barriers, but he's fine though. He's just a second behind.
Yeah, but he's lost out a bit of time as well, yeah.
I think he should be able to catch up easily because I think all the guys are fighting a lot. Oh,
okay.
And he
Let's
goes
see if
wide.
Oh, so yeah, our replay cameras just got a little bit of that. I think he collides with Santosh and then just loses control of the car.
And he did go wide on the exit of that corner as well. So he's lost a bit more time now. He's lost about 3 seconds.
Right, so Shami, I don't think he's going to be very, very happy with that. So we're on board Tegiswan. He's now down into 7th position, but I think he's an intelligent racer. He knows that the race is very, very long. There's still 21 minutes left. He just wants to save some fuel so that he can start pushing towards the end and maybe jump these guys into the pits. While these guys are squabbing, RKV and Super Vedu are brilliantly either they are working together or Super Vedu is just not trying to fight at all. So these guys have carved out a 2.5 second lead to Garvith, who is pushing
He
alone.
is. I think this is a very tough position for Garvith because
Yeah,
Super Vedu is working with RKV. He's right behind him in the slipstream range, so he can save fuel and manage his tires. But now Garvith has to think about either pushing or fuel saving, because if he starts to fuel save now, the Porsche is already slow on straights. So he might lose out more time, and Duki, who is behind him by like 5 seconds, might catch up. So it is it's a quite a tricky place that he's in. But if he can somehow keep up his pace and manage fuel, I think he should be fine. But I think it would be interesting to see what all these guys are planning to do in terms of strategy, because it looks like RKV and Super Vedu might be going for a one stopper. I think they have enough fuel for another lap.
yeah, and I'm also
Um,
looking at these guys, fighting from fourth to seventh. They're just constantly fighting and slowing each other down. The problem is if you're just two of you guys, then you have an opportunity to work together. And
hmm,
but let's say in case of Dukhi Atma, he would want to work together with Santosh, but then he also has to defend from Fun Anywhere, and Fun Anywhere has to defend from Tegiswan. So I think that slows them quite a bit. I want to look at Dukhi's last lap, which was a 3:30.360, which is not a good time. And as Fun Anywhere looks
I
down
think
the inside. All right,
every
so people
corner.
have started to make moves now. Super Vedu is into the pits.
Yeah,
Garvith is into the pits, Shami and RKV, they're all into the pits, but Dukhi Atma is going for a one stop, surely,
one
right?
stopper. Yeah, he's definitely going for a one stopper right now. He has plenty of fuel, pretty much close to half tank. So he should easily be able to go for another lap and then pit in. So it'll be quite interesting to see. I think if these guys are not fighting right now, they can jump RKV and um, Super Vedu. But when they come out, I mean, and they're fighting. So I don't think this is going to help them a lot. Because if they are on a one stopper, it like they need a good amount of lead from RKV
Exactly.
and Super Vedu. Otherwise, those guys will just catch up, and that won't work out for these guys. So um, yeah, they have to work together right now, but they seem to be fighting on each corner.
Yeah, so that's the thing I was talking about, because not only are you losing time every lap, because you're driving a little bit slowly because you're saving fuel, you're also losing time
Hmm.
because you're fighting. That is not the case with RKV and Super Vedu. Now, RKV has a 1.2 second gap to Super Vedu, so I'm not really sure if he underfueled or did something there, or Super Vedu went wide somewhere. But these guys don't really have to worry about that. They're catching up to, Dan Lord and Shaz in fourth position as well. It looks like Shaz is committing to a
One
one
stopper.
stopper as well. So Aniket was saying just a few minutes ago that everyone is probably on a one stopper. I think not anymore. A lot of the guys have come into the pit, so they've definitely gone for a two stopper. This is going to get very, very interesting towards the last 7 or 8 odd minutes, because once the second set of pit stops are done, that is when we'll figure out what the gap is and what the pace difference is. For
Yeah.
right now, let's look at the other drivers. We've been talking a lot about people from Tukhi to Garvith. Santosh gone into the pits. He came back out in ninth position, with Shami about 3.5 seconds behind him. Village Racer in 11th position almost grazes the wall there. I want to look at his telemetry. So he went into the pits as well.
Yeah,
But I
he
don't
did.
think, he has filled up too much. So he just wants to, underfuel a little bit, get some more pace out, as much as he can. And
Also,
Pratik Benya
I
is,
think
go ahead.
Benya is on racing mediums, so I think he might not be aware that I think softs are also they're actually quicker in this case. I mean, there's no need to be changing into mediums. So yeah, he's on the mediums.
Yeah, I think that may be a mistake because yeah, we made it clear to him that there are no tire mandates or anything like that. But
Exactly.
that's the thing
Yeah.
when you don't have practice, right? If you feel like you're going for longer laps, you try to think of ways to mitigate tire wear.
I know. Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's a good lesson for him. First of all, we'll see where he comes out, in terms of what the other drivers do. So Fun Anywhere jumps into the pits. Duki Atma is going for another lap.
Another lap. So
Wow.
Duki and Jackie Swan, they both are going in for another lap. So that's interesting.
So
I thought
Duki
they
in
would
the
pit
last
now.
so Duki in the last lap did a 3:33. He's losing quite a lot of time.
That might also be because Fun Anywhere was trying to make moves on him, and these guys are fuel saving as well. So they might be losing because of that. But right now, at least, I think it would be very useful for them if these two work together. Maybe they can bump draft each other on the straights and make some time, because Shaz is quite close by now. He can catch up with the GTR. And now I think RKV and Supervedu, the gap between both of them is pretty much the same at around 1.1 second. But they both are on a two-stopper anyway, so they will have to go into pits again.
But that's the thing,
So
like, I'm looking at the times between Shaz and RKV. So let's look at RKV. He's about 10 seconds behind the leader, Duki Atma, right now. Duki has to go into the pits, so does RKV, right? So when they finally come out, RKV will probably still be about 9 or 10 seconds behind Duki Atma. Because RKV doesn't really have to fuel that much for the last stint, while Duki Atma and the others, they have to fuel up a little bit more. So I think RKV and Supervedu have this in the bag for P1 and P2, unless one of them makes a crazy mistake. But Duki Atma, I think he's just losing out. He's just very slow, and I don't think Tegiswan is willing to work with him right now. So Tegi overtakes Duki Atma. He feels like he can go a little bit faster.
But I think now, since anyway they're going to pit in, probably that is why they are trying to make moves on each other. But that just makes Shaz, that just helps Shaz to catch up to both of them. So
just wanted to point out that just like about at the beginning of this lap, Shaz was about 3 seconds behind these guys, and now the gap is down to just 1.2 seconds. So Shaz has played this perfectly. He has some extra fuel to burn off on this lap. With the start that he got, he went down into 9th position, I think. Maybe he went down to 11th at one point. But he's climbing back up, so he has an opportunity to fight for the podium positions towards the end of the race with these guys. Now it's just a matter of Shaz, either overtaking them in the pits or just overtaking them before they reach the pit. So this is going to be interesting. I want to look at their telemetry as well. So Shaz, Duki Atma, and Tegiswan, they're basically running on fumes, so they have to dive into the pits this lap, and it's going to be very interesting to see what happens after this.
I think when they come out, they should be with Santosh, Shami, and Fun Anywhere. But I think Fun Anywhere is a bit too far behind, so I think it'll probably be Santosh and Shami who end up coming together with P1, P2, and P3. So let's see where they come out.
Okay, so Danlord goes into the pits. Shaz is still on there. Shami is in. Shami just moved up, I think. He moved into 5th position. Santosh is now into 4th.
Yep.
So these guys are losing quite a lot of time now.
They have lost a lot of time, actually.
Yeah, so, going for that extra lap, I think has cost them quite a lot. So Fun Anywhere, look at that. Fun Anywhere overtakes Shaz, who overtakes... hold on. So Shaz has now overtaken Duki Atma and Tegiswan. while they go side by side. So
I think I think Duki and Tegiswan have lost a lot of track time, and it's usually I think at least if it was me, I would try to pit in during, especially if it's a endurance race, right? I think it would be nice to pit in
Dukiatma
exactly when there
making a
is
move
a
on
move again.
Shaz and getting it
Oh,
done. He gets all squirmy, trying to exit that corner. But Shaz, I think he's unfazed. He just wants to be there
complete.
in the fight.
Yeah, I think now, yeah, Super Vedu and RKV are pretty much maintaining the same gap. Garvit is once again alone. Uh,
So
but
here's the deal, right?
Santosh,
I'm figuring out that maybe RKB and Superweight, when they go into the pits now, they'll be losing somewhere close to 25, 28 seconds. Fun Anywhere
yep,
is about 30 seconds behind them, so it's going to be very, very tight when they exit the pits. But again, they will have fresher tires. They will have more fuel. Look at these guys
oh
going
my God,
three
these guys
wide.
are just. I
They're
think they have.
they have no
They have.
concept of working together. They just want to get track position and get away from everybody else. Look at Fun Anywhere losing out. He went from 7th to now 10th behind Shaz. Wow.
All these guys are losing time doing this. So I think they all have to come on the same page, work together, so that they can jump RKV and Super Vedu when they enter the pits.
All right.
It
So
looks like they will be very close.
I
Yeah.
actually want to see if our
So
replay cameras caught that move. So Fun Anywhere in 7th is being attacked by Tegiswan. Look at that. Tegiswan goes on the outside.
Ganging up on him.
They're all ganging up on him. Fun Anywhere has no answer to that. He gets overtaken on the outside, he gets overtaken on the inside, and then he gets overtaken on the outside once again. And he just has no answer to what these guys are doing. He loses out 3 places in 2 corners.
I think the same thing is going to happen again now at the end of the straight. Is anyone going to make a move? I think Duki is. Okay, no, he's staying behind for now.
Yeah, so
okay, I think now
Duki, now that the dust has settled a little bit, I think they're now realizing that they have to start working together. Look at they're losing time, right? At one point they were 30 seconds. Now they're about 32 seconds behind. So we'll stay on Tegiswan. Super Vedu and RKV go into the pits.
Have pit in. So Garvit pits in. Santosh pits in.
So Aniket says, what is going on? We understand, Aniket. This is something that we've not really seen before from these guys. All of this fighting, all of this squabbing. So I'm just going to stay on Tegiswan. I'm actually going to go on to Super Vedu, right? So he's filling up some fuel. And I just want to see what happens when he exits. Okay, so RKV...
it is really close.
This is really, really close. So Super Vedu gets overtaken by all of this traffic. RKV jumps everyone. He's into first position. Super Vedu loses out massively. But remember, Super Vedu will have fresher tires, more fuel. So we have to stay with him and see how many moves he can make. But we also have to remember, as Super Vedu tries to go on the inside of Shaz, how is this going to work out for him? We'll just stay on... Let's just go on board Super Vedu. Okay, so Shaz has given way. That's good for him, but he goes a little bit too wide. RKV, I think he is the one who gains the most out of this. He comes out of the pits at the best possible time.
Exactly. And, I think for him in this case it worked out. But right now, I mean, they can still catch up to him. They just shouldn't fight. They can easily catch up to him. All they have to do is work together, slipstream, bump trap, whatever it is, just work together, and they should be easily able to catch up to him because he's just a second ahead. And all of these guys are good on pace. So if they work together, they can make it happen and they can catch RKB. And I think once that happens, it's going to get very, very like argy-bargy. So I think we should see what...
Once he comes anywhere near that traffic, I don't think Tegiswan and Dukiatma are in a mood to let him by that easily. But I also want to look at the other guys on here as well. So Santosh, after coming out of the pits, he's now 5 seconds behind Fun Anywhere. Okay, this is... So Santosh, I think he has 8th position. He might be able to gain some time, but not on Fun Anywhere. I think Fun Anywhere went on the pits as well. Garvith is now into 6th, being closely followed by Fun Anywhere. So I'm gonna go back to Supervedu, who is... Look at that! These guys in front of him are constantly fighting. He just has no space on that narrow portion of the track to overtake, but now he has the overspeed. Let's look at...
He can make a move right now.
Absolutely. So he's looking to make a move. Dukhi Atma and look at Tegisan and Dukhi Atma working together. So now they realize that yes, we have to work together. Supervedu is just left stranded, alone, and he cannot do anything. He does not have the slipstream, and they're now going into this wavy double S sections, and it's because the track is narrow in these positions, and you don't really want to, you know, put a wheel up on the inside or try to go off the outside because you might just clip the grass and just lose out on everything. I think Supervedu will try to be as careful as possible, but at one point the gap between Supervedu and RKV was just 1.8 seconds. Now it's back up to 2.6.
2.5. And I think right now, you know, Supervedu is seeing RKV just go away, and that must be frustrating for him because he is now behind Tegiswan, who is, and plus Supervedu has fresher tires, so he's behind Tegiswan, who is on older tires. He needs to go past him or work to.
So I don't think he would want to work together. He's just making a move right now. On to and look at Shaz coming out from nowhere. Shaz coming out from nowhere and overtaking Tegiswan as well. So this is going to get interesting because all of that fighting has now brought Shaz back into the mix as well. I don't really think Shaz... Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, he makes a move. Supervedu makes a move on Duki right now. So
I want to look at what Shaz did. So I'm just going to go back to the replay camera. So look at that. I'll go on board Shaz. He gets a good exit. Follows Supervedu. He follows Supervedu, gets the slipstream there, and now he's looking to get the slipstream from Tegiswan. And Tegiswan is just sitting there like a duck. He cannot do anything because there's nobody to give him the slipstream. He cannot come over and stop Shaz, and he just makes that move stick. Brilliant racing from Shaz. And Dukhi Atma, yeah, he just went into and grazed the wall a little bit, so he gets a very bad exit.
I think
so much is happening. So Supervedu is now into second, 2.5 seconds behind RKV. What can he produce?
I think if he can get some sort of a help or push from Duki, but although Duki is a bit far though, he is outside the slipstream range.
Yeah, you have to understand that Duki actually came into the pits a lap before Supervedu did. So Duki doesn't really have the luxury of burning more fuel. I think all of these guys, Duki, Shaz and Tegiswan, they don't really have the luxury of burning more fuel, at least at this stage of the race. So Supervedu can burn some fuel, but so can RKV. It all comes down to your lap by lap pace right now.
And I think RKV is now he's comfortable in P1, and Supervedu isn't at striking range, so he should not be. I don't think he'll be feeling pressured in any way. He just needs to calm himself down and then just set fast laps. I think that will help him a lot.
Absolutely. So while these guys, you know, Duki, Shaz and Tegiswan are occupying 3rd, 4th and 5th, Garvith, he's been driving a pretty lonely race throughout, right? He has not had the slipstream from anyone. I mean, barring a few occasions here and there. Fun Anywhere right behind him.
Catch him. There's just 2 more minutes though. So I think the next lap would be the final lap. So if he needs to catch him, he has to push. Santosh is too far behind.
Yeah, and Shami is in his slipstream, so Shami might be looking to make a move very soon as well. So we'll come back to this action. Dan Lord is driving alone. Village Racer is driving alone. So I think for his first race, I think he gets good exposure. He will get a single point for finishing in 11th. Pratik Benia finishes outside of the points. So, at least a good experience for both of these guys. The first time they're racing in this league, it's a whole different ball game. We're talking about different levels of tire wear and fuel wear, and there's always this element of whether you want to fight with someone, whether you want to work together, or whether the other driver is willing to work together with you.
Yeah, and I think it's a good chance for him to get back into the game and put in more practice, put in more time on track, and try again for the next for the next race. So I think next time he should be he should be back up to pace. So his performance should be better next time around.
Absolutely, and I'm also very, very happy for RKV because, I mean, we all know RKV is super quick. If you give him a lap to do, he will be blisteringly quick on that lap. But he has been having some bad luck, especially with race starts and contacts and incidents and whatnot. But this race, he took first position at the beginning, and he has kept it going for him. And I think that makes me very, very happy for RKV. I think that if he wins this race, which I think he should, it's going to be a win that has been coming for a very, very long time, don't you think?
And definitely, I think since he made the move early on, that has worked out so well for him, especially when they came out of pits and Supervedu was stuck behind a bunch of guys. That really helped him, right? So he was able to get a lot of time ahead and push further on, and now he has a 2.5 second gap over Supervedu, and they're on the final lap right now. So he just has a couple more corners, and I think he has the race.
Yeah, and not a couple more, maybe a few more corners than a couple. But yeah, he has to keep it between the white lines. Just make sure that all he has to do is just get to the finish line in one piece. That's it. And this race is his. And look at that, he's about 2.7 seconds. So he's gaining time in some sectors against Supervedu, and Supervedu is trying really, really hard to get that first position. But we have to remember, Supervedu, this is going to be the third race. Supervedu has consistently finished second in all of these races.
And I think this race especially, he was setting up RKB, like as we saw in yesterday's race. But I think when they came out of the pits, on their second stop, I think that is when his race position was a bit ruined, because he was stuck behind traffic, and then he had to overtake all of them and all of that. So I think otherwise it might have been a different outcome. But right now, RKV is comfortable with 2.7 seconds, and his laps are all consistent.
Yeah, look at the fastest lap from Supervedu, which is the 325.320. RKV's last lap was a 325.321. Wow, look at that consistency between those guys. And I absolutely agree. As RKV comes up to the final corner, rounds the final corner onto the main straight.
It's a well-deserved win for him.
It's a well-deserved victory for RKV. He's going to be very, very happy with this one. Supervedu coming up to the finish line. We're gonna look at these guys. Shaz comes up to third.
Takes P3. Oh my god. Okay, he came to P3 all the way from back.
So I think Dukhi Atma just either something happened to him, or he just did not have the fuel. I think he
ran out of fuel. Yeah, he ran out of fuel.
So Fun Anywhere finishes 8th. Santosh finishes 9th. We're waiting for Dan Lord to round up the last corner. So Pratik Benya finishes 12th. He's the only car that finishes a lap down, which I think he will show his worth in the next race. I'm sure people who are underestimating Pratik Benya right now will be eating dirt the next time around, because that guy is
surely
very, very quick. Village Racer comes home in 11th position with a 2-second penalty at the end. But this man, RKV, what a brilliant race. A little bit of luck, but you have to make your luck in these sort of races. You can't really wait for somebody else to give it to you.
He definitely had the pace. He and Supervedu were just right there at the top, and he was able to take advantage of Supervedu getting stuck behind a couple of guys, and I mean, he could have made mistakes, right? I mean, it would have been bad for him if he had made mistakes. He kept it clean, he kept it consistent, and ended up winning the race. So that's a well-deserved win for
Absolutely.
RKV.
Okay, let's look at the final race classification. RKV, brilliant drive from him, but nothing to take away from Super Vedu. He got a bad hand dealt to him when he exited the pits,
I know. Yeah.
right? But he made the most out of that situation as he could. He was patient as much as the situation permitted. So he was patient. He waited for his time, and Shaz making that move towards the end, coming from, I think Shaz was fifth at
He
one
was
point.
he was even lower, I think, at the beginning of the race. He was
Yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I
I think.
think Shaz went down to maybe ninth or even 11th, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
So
he did.
he's
So that's a
definitely
very good
driver of the
showing.
day material. A good showing from Shaz in third position. Tegiswan takes fourth after winning the first two rounds. So he will still have a good cushion, not in first, but in second, because I think Super Vedu is going to overtake him definitely in the championship standings. The Wildest Monk says, had my money on RKV, man's too quick. We know. Everybody knows that RKV is super quick. And
Especially with the GTR. He's
it's,
quite comfortable with
yeah,
the GTR.
he's very comfortable with the GTR. Aniket says, what a race. Congrats to Ravi, Vedu, and Shaz. Absolutely. Sushant Kumar says, great race. After yesterday, who would have thought to stop works? Yes, right?
That is the
Everybody.
thing. I think
Yeah,
all
we
these
went into
strategy.
the race as well thinking that the one stop is obviously going to be faster. But you also have to take into account the average speed that these guys can maintain over a certain number of laps.
And
Uh,
also, I think a lot of guys were fighting, so that might have messed up the strategies a bit. But it was still a very interesting race though to watch
Absolutely.
and a
So
lot of fun.
absolutely. Duki Atma in fifth position in the Supra, followed by Garvith in sixth in the Porsche 911, which is a very good showing from him as well. Shami loses out. He's in seventh position. I think he got a good start. He was in a good position. He qualified very well as well, but he just lost out during the races. I'm sure he will have a few words to say about that. Fun Anywhere comes in eighth position. Santosh in ninth in the M6. Dan Lord in the F-Type in 10th position. Village Racer in 11th, and Pratik Benya in 12th. I just want to thank Village Racer and Pratik Benya for joining us today. They'll be a part of the races going forward. It's when things are not going your way, the top guys still stay there. They, no matter what happens in the race, they stay there. They ride their luck as much as they can. What are your final thoughts on the
I mean,
race?
you can easily take example of Shaz, right? I think initially on lap one, he did have a couple of incidents, and he was all the way down at P11 or P10. But he made his strategy work, and he's in podium. He took P3. That was a very good showing from him. So, it's at the beginning it might seem like things are not going your way, but it's always good to put in your best effort and stick to whatever strategy that you had planned for, and it'll definitely work out. So even though you might not make a lot of places, it's still a bit of practice for you, and you can improve from that. So yeah, I think yesterday's and today's race were both so much exciting to watch and commentate on. So definitely had a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Next race is at Tokyo. And we are on the East Outer Loop, if I remember correctly. So it's going to be a mix of very close quarters driving, because the track is very narrow, but also a lot of slipstreaming and working
With
together
streaming,
because you
exactly.
have such long straights as well. So yeah, definitely another race which will have a lot of different strategies for all of these guys. To everyone who has been watching today, thank you so much for your time and for your support for the Ode to Gran Turismo series. Just a reminder, we have completed race 3. We have 2 more races in the group 3 category, which will fetch the drivers the regular amount of points. And the 6th race is going to be a joker, which will be on the Nürburgring 24 hours in the dark in a group for car of their choice. But here's the best part: double points are on offer for that one. So stay tuned. Join us next week for the race at Tokyo. Thank you so much for your time once again. This is me, Abhishek, saying goodbye. Pleb, a few parting
Yep.
words from you.
So I think Tokyo and, like you said, the 24-hour Nürburgring races are going to be definitely races to look forward to. And I think some of the guys have learned, or should learn at least, to work together, especially in the next race, to not fight a lot, work together, use your slipstream, and make those positions up. So yeah, I think these races are going to be so much fun to watch.
Absolutely. Thank you so much once again. Wishing
Yep.
you a
Thanks, everyone.
wonderful evening ahead and a wonderful week ahead. Take care. This is Abhishek. Goodbye.